Hello Fantasy RP gamers, Menacer here, your favorite Mega Mecha pilot. In this video, we review the character archetype Gene Freak. This is an interesting archetype because of its extra failure mechanic and because of its variety of sticks. As a bonus, at the end of this video, I'll cover some noteworthy mutant sticks you can select when awesoming up. You could also discuss with your GM if you can swap out some of the sticks you start with for different mutant sticks that might go better with the mutant theme you have in mind. What is a mutant? What do you think of when you hear that word? Your gene-free character might be free of any visual mutation, or you might display some grotesquerie or disfigurement, making it difficult to pass for normal outside of the post-collapse future juncture. Whether you do or not is your choice, unless you picked a stick like Eyes on the Back of Your Head, or Vestigial Twin, both of which describe obvious alterations to the standard human appearance. Go ahead and weigh the benefits of either making life easier for your character or having the fun of playing an obvious weirdo. Wants to look normal again, makes a fine melodramatic hook. Just saying. Looking at the top right of the Gene Freak's character sheet, we see a large icon for the post-collapse future juncture and a smaller icon representing the modern-day juncture. This means the game designers intend for most player characters of this archetype to hail from around the year 2074, and some to have been born in a modern era. The Gene Freak trope has some background information that supports this archetype only hailing from these two junctures, but you can always discuss with your GM if you have a different concept. Before we get deeper into the character sheet, you should know that the Gene Freak archetype comes with an extra mechanic that is not shown on its character sheet. This extra mechanic is called Freak Out, and it is found in the Feng Shui 2 book under the chapter DNA equals damn near anything. The Freak Out is similar in nature to the transformed animal's reversion and the sorcerer's magical backlash. For the Gene Freak, at the beginning of each session, you roll a single non-exploding dice and match your dice result to the Freak Out ill effects table to find out what will happen if ever you fail a Freak Out check during a fight in this session. After you fail a Freak Out check and settle the result, roll on the table again to find out what will happen the next time you freak out in this gaming session. When you are making a Freak Out check, you simply roll a single non-exploding dice and compare the results to your current genome action value. If the number on the dice is greater than your genome action value, you have failed the Freak Out check. You need to make a Freak Out check every time you use a mutant stick that makes you spend a genome point or that causes you to make a mutant check. You don't have to make a Freak Out check if 1. It's the first sequence of a fight, 2. You already failed a Freak Out roll during the current sequence, 3. Your current genome point total exceeds 5, since your roll will automatically succeed. The ill effects are fun flavor for when things go wrong, and your descriptions of how and why they happen will help make the story great. Getting back to the character sheet. At the bottom of the character sheet, we see there is only one recommended pool of sticks to choose from when awesoming up, and this should be fine for you. I would not recommend asking for access to additional stick pools, since only the mutant sticks are flavored for you, and they are the only ones that come with the possibility of a freak out. Also at the bottom of the character sheet are some recommended skills to choose from, should you desire, and the bottom two selections are the same on every character sheet. As always, there is space for your character's name, concept, and melodramatic hook. Now let's take a look at the sticks the official Gene Freak starts with. Mutant Punch. Make hand-to-hand attacks using your mutant attack value. This stick simply describes how the Gene Freak's primary attack works. Very strong. Spend 1 shot. Until the end of the fight, add 3 to your damage on any successful hand-to-hand strike using your mutant attack value, including strikes with hand-to-hand weapons. You can use absurdly large objects, like parking meters, as improvised weapons. Very fast. Spend 2 genome points. Until the end of the current sequence, the shot cost of all your actions decreases by 1, with a minimum cost of 1 shot per action. You can move up to 30 meters per sequence. Force Shield. Spend 1 genome point and 1 shot. Your defense increases by 1 until the end of this sequence. Push. Spend 3 shots to make a ranged attack with damage value 11 using your mutant attack value. If you deliver a smackdown, the target flies X meters through the air directly away from you, where X equals the number of wound points you dished out. Berserk Rage. Spend 1 genome point and 1 shot. Your mutant attack value increases by 2 until the end of this sequence. Know that this increases both your chance to hit and the damage you do. Since you're spending a genome point, don't forget to make your freakout check, if applicable. Pain Eater. When your attack takes a foe from 0 to 1 impairment, or from 1 to 2 impairment, regain 3 spent genome points. When an ally's attack takes a foe from 0 to 1 impairment, or from 1 to 2 impairment, regain 1 spent genome point. This is a mechanically important stick for the Gene Freak, and the stick Mutant Punch is even more so. Given opportunity, don't switch out Mutant Punch, and I wouldn't recommend switching out Pain Eater unless you want freakouts to occur more frequently. The Gene Freak does not start with any skills, and she doesn't start with a backup attack or any weapons. The Gene Freak's primary attack is Mutant, at 13 to hit and 13 for damage. Her defense is 13, and her starting toughness is 6. The Gene Freak's starting genome value is 9, and her speed is 6. Starting wealth is rich. Now, you are going to have to explain this one to me. The Gene Freak's official art shows her wearing stitched-together clothing, standing on a junkyard car, and carrying a weapon she picked up from the street. The artwork also indicates this particular Gene Freak is from the post-collapse future, a time of scarcity, so I'm thinking this is a mistake, and her wealth is supposed to be poor. However, since this is what is in print, I'm sure you can come up with reasons why your Gene Freak might be rich. Maybe the Thanos effect? Since there are much fewer people, the resources that are left are divided more generously? I'm not buying that. Maybe you abuse your mutant powers over your fellow men and are king of any mountain you tread? Leave your comments below. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. But wait, there's more! I promised to cover some of the other mutant sticks, so here we go. Mjolnirification. Spend 1 shot to make any dropped or unattended weapon teleport into your hand. Weapons in a bag full of guns are not unattended. Blink Shifter. During a vehicle chase, spend 1 genome point to vanish from the vehicle you are currently in and reappear in another nearby vehicle. During an ordinary fight, you never pay a shot cost to move from one area to another within the fight zone. This stick doesn't say that when you attack you are doing any kind of teleportation kung fu, but how you describe what you are doing can make it that way. As long as the end result is within the rules, how you describe the end result occurring is up to you. This stick doesn't say that you can teleport a friend, but when you give a friend a boost, you are the one who describes what you are doing to provide that help. Nano Portal. Spend 1 genome point and spend 3 shots as an interrupt when an enemy targets an ally with a ranged attack. Pick any combatant as a new target for the attack. Teller Read. Spend 1 genome point to know the definitive answer to a single question of 25 words or less, if that answer can be found written down anywhere in your current juncture. Noctilucent. Spend 1 genome point to brightly glow until the end of scene or end of fight, whichever comes first. You get +2 versus defense for close attacks, and you lose 2 defense versus ranged attacks. Neither you nor your allies within close range suffer penalties from the adverse condition Darkness. Acid Blood. Until the end of the fight, all enemies within close combat range take 2 wound points each time you take wound points from enemy attacks. Precognitive Rescue. When 1 or more characters take wound points from a source of damage other than an attack or an explosion, spend 1 genome point to reduce wound points dealt to 0. How Magnets Work. Spend 1 shot and make a mutant check against an enemy's defense. Until the next keyframe, that enemy must stay within close combat range of you. Go Cartilaginous. You can squeeze through an opening as small as 75 square centimeters. Camouflage. Blend in with your surroundings to launch a sneak attack. Spend 1 genome point. Until the next keyframe, add a free fortune die to each dodge you make against ranged attacks. Technically, this stick only gives you a bonus when dodging, but you can still flavor your descriptions of other actions that succeed as dealing with camouflage or invisibility and the like, and the GM and other players should go along with it if you do. Of course, just because the name of this stick is camouflage doesn't mean you can't come up with a totally different reason why you are so good at dodging ranged attacks. Don't limit yourself. Open your mind and make the character your own. Eyes on the back of your head. You automatically succeed at notice checks, unless you're wearing a hat, helmet, or other headgear. Yeah, they're literal eyes, literally on the back of your literal head. Psychic Vampire. Spend 1 shot as an interrupt when your attack deals 3 or more wound points to an enemy. Subtract 3 from the wound points dealt in order to regain 1 spent genome point. Channel Pain. As an interrupt after you suffer 8 or more wound points from a single attack, spend 1 shot to regain 2 genome points. Skulky. When you take wound points from an attack, your defense increases by 1. This bonus stacks for each consecutive attack dealing wound points to you, but drops to 0 the first time an attack on you fails. Endocrine Pulse. Spend 1 shot and take 1 mark of death to gain 5 genome points. Unsplode. Spend 1 genome point to completely suppress any explosion whose epicenter you can see in person. You do this in combat as a 1-shot interrupt when you can see that an explosion is about to occur. Resource Sniff. Always know the direction to head in to find the nearest source of edible food, clean water, or a particular chemical element. Recuperate. Spend X genome points and 1 shot. Your wound point total decreases by 5 times X. Adaptive Enzymes. When you take a mark of death, spend 1 shot to subtract 10 from your wound point total. Brain Bleed. Make a ranged mutant attack as a 3-shot action that deals no damage. If the outcome of your successful attack is even-numbered, the target loses 1 shot. If odd-numbered, the target loses 2 shots. You can tell victims of brain bleed from the trail of blood running down their left nostrils. Always the left. No one knows why. Empathy. Once per session, you may concentrate on someone you can see in person. Until end of scene, you feel the same emotions that person is feeling. Wiggly Air. Spend 1 genome point. Until the next keyframe, all enemies within close combat range of you take a -1 penalty to all attacks. There are still more mutant sticks I haven't told you about, but I don't want this video getting too long. I encourage you to support the game developers and your local gaming store. Let me know if there's something you want to know more about, etc.
You could save me.